let's get back to 2005, peak oil. Club of Rome, 1960. Okay, so what are we going to do, the controllers say, the military-industrial complex, what are we going to do? Everything's going to go crazy when it goes down. You have a rising population and a decreasing amount of oil available. Now, a little sidestep here. I'm getting thirsty. I don't usually talk like this. Excuse me. Plastic bottle, sorry. Okay, so yeah, no, but I'm getting to the what they're going to do about this. So they're thinking what I wanted to say was, when we talk about peak oil, we're talking about conventional oil. Conventional oil means you stick a hole in the ground and the oil comes up, or you can just suck it out. But conventional oil is getting more and more expensive because now you have to pump it with water, the reservoirs, in order to keep the pressure up. And this is how it's done in Saudi Arabia and a lot of places. You have to pump water into it. If you don't, you don't get oil rising to the surface in the same way. So it's getting more expensive. The easy to obtain oil is almost gone. We're going deeper and deeper now to find oil. We're experimenting with turning oil shales to oil. I mean, it's such a process. It's so environmentally damaging. It takes a lot of energy to do it. It's nothing like punching a hole in the ground and just taking it out for $1 a barrel. It's a very different thing. Or oil shales and then oil sands. And we have this great formation in Colorado or Canada. We have plenty of oil forever. It's 10 miles under the ocean. It's not the same animal. It's not the same thing. It's not cheap oil. This is the key thing. Cheap oil has peaked. The oil, what we're going to have now is less, and it's going to cost more. What does this do to society? It means there's going to be have-nots. There's going to be countries that at some point are not going to be able to compete and pay for the oil. They're going to fall off a cliff. This is a horrible situation. Horrible. The controllers know all about this. They have so much money to research everything. They have 1,000 people to think about it. 10,000. So what did they decide? Now we're getting to raise understanding. I don't call it a theory. It is my understanding. It's how I see it. They said, we're not going to let this randomly happen and try to pick up the pieces as it goes down. No way. We're going to take it down first. We're going to control, demolish this whole situation so we can be in control every step of the way. What do we need to do that? We need this kind of military power, which always has to be based on an enemy, right? So we have CIA witnesses on YouTube saying, I was responsible for creating an image of a strong USSR during the Cold War. This is my job. We produce photographs, we produce propaganda to create a big bad USSR. We have these whistleblowers coming out now. They're ready to retire. They have nothing to lose. They're coming out. They're coming out about UFOs, ET. They're coming out about this. We created the Cold War out of thin air so we could have an enemy. Then, as we all know, USSR goes down because Reagan makes a deal with Saudi Arabia to sell oil so cheap that it undercuts Russia's price. Russia has an economic crisis because it can't sell its oil and goes down. Yay, Reagan, you got the big bad evil empire. Okay, what did you replace it with? So you probably know what happened in the USSR is we moved in, we looted it completely as much as we could. It's controlled now for a long time by a mafia type of civilization. It was pretty horrible. But we didn't have an enemy anymore. Now we get these statements from von Braun. What was his first name?
Vernon.
Vernon von Braun. way earlier that, oh, they're going to create an enemy. They're going to create rogue states and terrorists. Then they're going to create, asteroids and then ET. They're going to create any kind of enemy they can to keep this military-industrial complex moving forward and getting all the people to support it because we have an enemy. All right. So now we're moving. So what do the controllers say? Okay, we're going to create this enemy. We've got to keep this power going. We have to have this military force. So they create terrorists. Okay. We have Timothy Leary. Is that his name? McVeigh. Timothy McVeigh. Timothy Leary is someone else. I remember Timothy Leary. So Timothy McVeigh. But when the first happened, Oklahoma bombing, there was another man. There was two men. The second man, who we can guess was some kind of handler, kind of disappeared from the news. Timothy McVeigh ended up being the sole person doing it. The lone gunman, that's a great one. The lone gunman who killed Abraham Lincoln, even though Lincoln said, I have two enemies, the Confederates and the banks. Okay, Lincoln comes out with the greenback, they kill him. It's no lone gunman. The lone gunman thing is amazing. We'll get back to that. That's a nice one. Okay, lone gunman, I'll just go through it. John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, John Lennon. These are all hits. Bob Marley, that's a hit.
I said Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke. Bruce Lee, that's a hit. Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison. These people are getting the kids too wild. Things are getting out of control in the 60s here. We got to stop this. We got to get people under control again. All these people are taken out. Marilyn Monroe, well, she knew too much. You know? So lone gunman, it's just not it. It's not how it works. So now, I skipped quite a few things there. So the controllers are now thinking, they're creating war on terror. So anyway, Oklahoma City bombing, experts say there's no way a car bomb, it's a car bomb, van bomb, could do what it did to that building. There's no way. It's just impossible. It didn't happen that way. And we have evidence that people had entered the building beforehand and shut down things and done things. There's, just like 9/11, we have evidence that people were doing some kind of interior work weeks before there, setting their charges. Same with Oklahoma. The creation of the war on terror, step by step by step. Okay, we need an enemy. What is this leading toward? What the controllers realize is before peak oil, before we head downhill here and go into crisis, we have to be in control. What they do is the housing bubble is planned. The housing bubble was totally planned. The subprime thing was totally planned, knowing what it would do. The packaging of mortgages sold as derivatives worldwide was just like shooting poison into the financial system of the whole world. And they knew they were doing it. They wanted to control, demolish the economy before it started going down randomly. Okay? Now, what are we going to do with all these people who are unemployed and freaking out? So, this is where the pandemic comes in. We who study it know that AIDS was created and distributed by the World Health Organization, as was the bird flu, as was SARS.